To get into more advanced testing, you have to disconnect components from the oil injection system. In order to not burn up your motor, you need to run premix. So get yourself some premix gas. I've got 60-to-1 right now. Run the bike for about 10 minutes to burn out the clean gas out of the bowl in the carburetor. And then you can disable your oil injection by unplugging the oil pump line. That's all you have to do. You'll get an error code on your dash, but you can ignore that for now. You don't have to plug off this hose. Just unplug the cable and you're good to go. I bought this pocket meter. It's a little teeny voltmeter / oscilloscope that uses an app on the smartphone. It's a pretty handy little device. I made up a mock TPS based on this data. This lets me turn this potentiometer and set it anywhere from idle to wide open throttle. I'm able to drive the TPS voltage independent of the throttle. Okay, now to do more advanced testing on the TPS, if you have the tank off, you can unplug your TPS connector, and you should have 5 volts coming out of the ECU to one of the pins on the connector. So start the bike up, measure that 5 volts, make sure you have a good solid 5-volt reference. Then you can plug the connector back in, and you can measure the TPS voltage if you can figure out a way to tie into the wire. What I did was used my bench carburetor here and put some connectors on that I can tie into. I didn't want to do that on the main wiring harness, but so if you want to measure that more accurately, you got to tie into those wires somehow. Got some connector pins soldered on a 220 ohm 1 watt resistor, and then I've got a pocket meter hooked up to it so I can see what the pulses are. Measure the pulses going to the oil pump. So to do that, I hook up my fake TPS, and then I plugged a 220 ohm 1 watt resistor into the connector that goes to the oil pump. So remember, the oil pump is 18 ohms at 12 volts, so that's quite a bit of current. So if you put an 18 ohm resistor in, it's got to be probably like a 5 watt resistor. It turns out the value of the resistor is not that critical. This 220 seemed to work fine. Then I hooked my pocket meter up across that resistor and put it in oscilloscope mode. But here's a capture I saved. So right here you can see the time between pulses is 1.99 seconds. That's proper for idle. Okay, here's one. Okay, that's 223 approximately milliseconds between pulses. So this is at wide open throttle, so you're getting about 3 pulses a second. And if you set the TPS somewhere between the 2 limits, you'll get a variable pulse width. So here I have an Elm 327 OBD2 scanner plugged into the test port. This is like a $20 scanner I bought off Amazon. But when you plug it in, it wakes up the speedometer, so I can test throttle position sensor without the motor running. with the OBD2 scanner, Blue or Wi-Fi connected to my phone with the car scanner app, I can look at all sensors and scroll down and see my throttle position. So it's at 15%, and when I turn the throttle, it increases. And it goes to 100% when I still have at least an eighth of a turn of throttle. So I think the ECU is not trained properly for my TPS on the smart carb. So I don't know if that's a TPS problem or an ECU problem. On the Beta, the filter capacitor and the diode pack are tucked underneath this side panel, so you have to take one bolt out and pull this out. I found the easiest way to check the regulated supply voltage is to disconnect the diode pack and plug a pin in one of the red wires. The black wire goes to the battery. I guess it's gray and black. So the red one comes from the regulator. So any of those three pins so I've just plugged a dummy pin in. I can hook up my multimeter to that probe. And then I start the bike and measure the voltage. I've got it on DC volts. So without the diode pack, the battery is disconnected, so it's not going to be recharging the battery. And as I rev the motor goes up. So it's generating more than 13.5 volts DC, so it's an uncharged battery. If I switch to AC, I can measure the noise, and that should be very small. So that's saying 0 millivolts. So that looks good. When I first did this test, I measured 4 volts of noise, which is a lot. And then when I was servicing the wires under the frame here, the noise went away. So I think I had a bad connection in there. So I'm not 100% sure that's fixed anything, but anyway, this is the easiest way I've found to check your supply voltage, make sure it's okay. And I've got quite a bit of noise. I don't know if you can read that, but I've got 4 volts of AC noise on top of my 12 volt signal. That seems pretty bad to me. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you have a better understanding of how the oil injection works, and hopefully even found your problem if you're having issues like I was. Unfortunately, mine is not fixed. After the last test ride, I still had a lot of spooge, and I actually used about half a tank of oil on a 5-hour ride. We covered about, I think, 37 miles. I used 0.9 gallons. So that's an extremely heavy mixture of oil. So I'm probably running at the max 30-to-1 rate much of the time. So for now, I've decided to just delete the oil injection. I've run out of ideas on what to test and how to find the problem. I'm pretty confident my TPS is okay because I get the same symptoms with my Kian carburetor and the Smart Carb, and they're completely different TPS systems. I could have a flaky ECU, but I'm not willing to spend $350 to replace that on the hope that it would fix it. The oil pump seems to check out good, but maybe it's a little flaky. Maybe it stays on too long for every pulse or something, so it's putting out more oil than it should. But I don't want to spend the money to replace that. I'm pretty sure my power system's okay, at least the components. So my most likely theory is I still have a wiring problem. It measures okay here at home, but maybe I've got a flaky connection that's bouncing around on the trail, causing the ECU to go to fail-safe mode. So hopefully you'll have better luck, but at least give you a few things to try. If you did learn anything from this video or find success, please leave a comment and share it with others. Thanks.